pirates.
So it's Monday morning, I'm running a bit late for work. I quickly put the dog in the kitchen, fill up my bottle, then leave him there, say goodbye to him, and then head on the bus. A couple of hours later, I'm at work now. I'm about to go into a meeting, and then I see a text came through from my dad, which says I need to call him, needs to talk. Which is quite worrying because like nothing ever like that's ever happened, so I'm a bit worried about that, especially knowing how well the dog is at the time. And I quickly book out a room, go and sit in the room, call my dad, and I call my dad and he tells me that the pirates died. Okay, so at the beginning of the summer, like June time, Pirate started having these seizures. So he'd be lying on he'd fall over or something and then like act like he was running and he couldn't control himself. And it kept getting worse and worse, and some days he even got to the point where he had like 2 or 3 in just one day. And it got too bad, so the vets kept on giving him more and more medicine to take. So when we got to September, we got to a point where he wasn't really having seizures that much, and although he wasn't having as many seizures, it wasn't the same him in a way. It was a bit out of it in a way. It's really hard to explain. Like at one point he like, if the postman came to the door, he wouldn't shout or bark at them at all. He'd hardly bark at all. He wouldn't eat all his dinner in one go. Like normally would give him his dinner and he'd like eat it all in one go and like be done in a couple of minutes, if that. But then he started just leaving it or not even eating it when you gave it to him. And then it became really bad where if he'd go for a walk and stuff, he'd only make it a little way. He'd like have to stop, and my dad would end up shagging him. And the vet thought that might have been something separate, or like something where he's struggling to breathe, or like had something wrong with his throat. But I don't know. I'm probably missing out loads of stuff because I didn't really know that much because I didn't really like talking about it. And then the Friday before, we took him to the vets, and so on the Friday before, we took him to the vets, and it was a bit emotional because we thought that the vet would tell us that he'd have to be put down or something. And we were really happy because we managed to get an extra weekend with him. And when he did go, he died in a place where it's comfortable. He was at home. He was with Dad and Thomas, and it was peaceful for him. It's 3 weeks later, and it's so weird. You come home and he's not there. He doesn't come and greet you. He's not running up to you and wagging his tail, jumping up at you. And like when you walk into a room, you look around to see where he is, and he's not there. And before you go to bed or something, he's not checking the garden to see if he's out there doing anything. He's not there. It's just a bit weird.
That's all been quite negative, and that's not how I want to remember Pirate. I want to remember all the good things. I want to remember how when he was a puppy he used to go into all the washing baskets, pick out a fresh clean pair of socks, run off with it down the garden, and Mum chasing him. I want to remember how when he was a puppy he used to came round and sit on mine and Taurus's laps and just go to sleep, and then grew up and get a bit grumpy. And every morning when he went for a walk, even though he did it every single morning, he'd get so excited running up and down the stairs through the house, just wagging his tail as much as he could. And how he loved biscuits and broccoli, weirdly, but above everything he wanted cheese. On walks, especially during like the spring and stuff, he used to chase squirrels and go mad for them and like bark so loudly and be a bit embarrassing. He used to love going on holiday just because he could go on so many walks. And yeah, that's what I want to remember about Pirate. So here is loads of photos of Pirate just doing what made him happy and us happy, and like all the good things about that. So this is for Pirate.
Good boy, aren't you?
Yeah.